Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. We're coming to you with McCarthy's single malt. Boom.
Peated whiskey.
Peated.
Oregon peated whiskey.
Woo.
Oregon single malt.
Single malt, yeah.
Hot distilled whiskey.
I love what we're starting to do in the States, folks. Love it. And the shirt. Boom. You're going to want to reshoot this intro, aren't you?
Yeah. I figured you'd shut her down there at some point.
Hey, it's the Scotch Test Dummies. We're coming to you with McCarthy's Oregon single malt, baby.
From the Clear Creek Distillery. Let's test it.
Ooh, test it! Oregon style.
Let's test it. From Oregon, with imported peated malted barley, like en route.
I knew you were going there, baby. I knew you were going there. It's imported grain that's been peated from Scotland.
Imported malted barley.
Right.
Yeah.
Malted barley is still a grain.
Yeah. So McCarthy's Oregon single malt pot distilled whiskey, distilled from a fermented mash of peat malted Scottish barley, barrel aged for 3 years, which is young.
Yeah.
And bottled by the Clear Creek Distillery, 42.5%. This precedes or goes out to our Scotch God shout out for the week.
Right. Now, first of all, we got the Patreon coin here. So if you're a Patreon supporter and you hit the $100 mark, you're going to get one of these little coins. It's a typical coin almost, but the flip side is the Patreon logo. Bam. So make sure you check us out on Patreon at Scotch Test Dummies, Patreon. And instead of a Scotch God shout out, it's a Scotch God shout out with a bottle.
Well, it is a Scotch God shout out
to
one of our Patreon supporters, Scott Slattery.
Right.
Who sent us this bottle.
Yes. Love that. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott.
I think this is one of his favorites. And he wanted us, and it's local for him. He knew we couldn't get it here, and he wanted us to test it.
Well, that's a perfect explanation. Now, we do have some family at home, so you may hear some noise here, and I've got a sneeze that's brewing.
Oh. Bless you.
Woo. Whether that stays in or not, we shall see. So, originally we had a fan, we're talking like 2.5 years ago, maybe 3, that said, hey, have you guys had X? Will you review X? We said, you know what? We can't even get that here, and we've got a backlog of about 25 bottles that we're trying to review. He sends it. It says, does that move it up on the review mark? Yes. I think we will move them up quickly because, first of all, we appreciate that. Second of all, we can't get everything here in Kansas. And when some fan decides to, that sounds almost bad. When a fan decides to both assist us and get maybe a local bottle or something they can get that they like and send it to us, yeah, we're going to move it up on the reviews area. That's one of the things that's the review area. That's one of the things that surprised me the most, actually, when we started doing this, that fans would send us stuff and say, please review this.
Yeah. Awesome.
Phenomenal. Hold on, to clear my nosing deal, I'm going to have to now clear.
Okay.
Cut and pause, Bart.
So anyway, we're back. I can tell you this smells like a peated Scotch. I can smell it sitting here from pouring it, and even with our whiskey hat on it, which are available on ScotchTestDummies.com.
Zach Spears named it.
Yep.
Wow. That's good.
You can smell the peat.
Smell it. I do smell it. So, yeah, I know the smell is...
Now, this reminds me, I have it in my notes. Of course, you get the peat. It smells like a peated Scotch. It reminds me of a Kilhoman.
Yeah, I would agree with you. A little bit of the creosote.
Uh-huh.
The chupacabra's whining. You may hear that.
A little bit of a grassiness in there with it, and some citrus sweetness notes coming through. It's not just punch in the face peat like Lafroig or Ardbeg.
True.
There's a little bit of a sea. Well, the fact is, I just said sea salt, and the notes that Scott sent with this said because it's in Oregon, it's by the ocean. It actually picks up some of the sea salt notes, like a distillery in Scotland.
Yeah, it feels very Isla-ish.
Yeah,
Isla-ish.
Peanuts. I just got a little roasted peanuts.
Huh. I did not have that. I see what you're saying, though. You're talking about like the shell, even.
No.
No?
Roasted
That's
peanuts?
what I'm getting. You're like, nope, not at all. I'm not going to take what you just handed me. I'm going to deny it and shove it back at you. Hold on, I was going to pour
Nope,
it.
go, because I got it.
All right.
Even before I swallowed, I could taste the peat in it. It's kind of a medium to heavy peat. Very soothing, very smoothing. Just hits the taste buds. There's vanilla that's in there with it. It's very tasty. I got smoked peanuts in there on the palate.
Wow. God, I love this. I told you, you were like, hey, have you had a chance to taste this yet? Oh, yeah. I had to deny myself access to this, just mentally. Because I was like, you know what? I want to try something. I kept reaching for this, and I was like, we better save something for the review, because this is phenomenal.
Actually, you haven't drank that much. I mean, I'm surprised that it's as full as it is.
I had to deny. I tried it just because I'm never sure when something's going to hit the show. By the way, this is batch number W, so Whiskey 14-01, bottled September 8th, 2014. It's a 42.5% ABV. Portland, Oregon, fermented mash of peated malt Scottish barley. It's barrel aged 3 years. You know, that's probably the thing that surprised me the most. This does not taste like a 3-year-old.
No.
And I'm glad they did it, because I think if it had stayed much longer, the peat would have dissipated out. The way they pulled it, this tastes like an older whiskey to me.
Well, even from Oregon, a 3-year-old, Oregon's a lot farther north than Kentucky. Kentucky, 3 years is
Kentucky.
Yeah. Oregon's a lot cooler, even.
It is.
It's not Scotland cool.
No.
But it's not Kentucky hot. So
First of all, I love what you're saying. The whole thing you did there was amazing. It's Kentucky hot, not Scottish cool, but it's Oregon cool with the sea and Oregon warm.
Am I a big peat fan?
You were not, but you warmed to it recently.
And I can tell a good one. And when I tasted this one, I thought Bart's gonna love this one.
You are correct, sir.
And I do too. It is good. I've warmed up to peat, and I love them, and I know I can tell a good one. But I mean, still, 4 times out of 5, I go to something else. Occasionally, I'm pulling out a peat.
Right, and I'm almost the reverse. 4 out of 5, I'm going to the peat, and I do appreciate other things. I'll even say, though, some of the cognac finishes, some of the Pedro Menace, I feel like I'm not able to get the depth that I know is there, but you'll pick up. So, let me come back into this, sir. Let me start at the end here.
Do you want a drop of water?
Not yet. I will. The finish is lingering and subtle. The peat of both the peat and the burnt wood lingers. It's still there when I do my circular breathing. And it's pleasant in the way that peat will linger and remain on your palate for some time. I would say this is still there almost a minute in. So I love the finish. Coming back, go ahead, but I'll come back to the forefront.
I've still got the peat and the smoked peanuts on my palate. I took a sip, it was a couple minutes ago, and you were talking. I've added water. I haven't tried it yet, but I mean, just to tell you, it's still there.
So right off the bat, you get that. It's an interesting peat, because you get what you would think would be the typical Scottish peat. You get that what you would expect from a peat, but it's got a subtle, slight difference in it that tells you I wasn't distilled in Scotland. I mean, you can tell it's there. The peat is still a similar peat, but there's a subtle difference. It's a good difference. I almost get like that barbecue, a barbecue sweetness, maybe a touch of mesquite, but not overly done. It doesn't taste like wild wood. It's still like a peat moss smoke. It lingers and hangs. My mouthfeel is velvety and smooth. And then it moves into the middle, which is exactly what you talked about. A caramel, a sweetness. I've just moved into the tails again, where I'm getting that warm peat smoke.
This is, okay, we did the stock and barrel. It's a Canadian single malt whiskey, barrel strength. And when I tasted it, it was delicious. I mean, other than saying Canadian whiskey on it, it was a single malt, it was barrel strength, it was good.
Great.
This here too. I mean, this is. I would never guess this was an made in America whiskey.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. American whiskey is getting experimental and awesome. I love bourbons, but bourbons kind of seem like a one-trick pony to me sometimes. And there's some bourbons that, like you and I talked when we did the 16-bottle bourbon shootout, amongst themselves I could pull out the differences. By themselves, I feel like I'm describing caramel, cream, vanilla, wood tannin, and
cinnamon.
And when we did them together, we were able to pull out, to suss out those subtleties. But sometimes I feel like they're a very tight-knit family. The American single malts are blowing me away. I hope the government, not that we need the government to come in, but I hope they come up with a standard of an American single malt, and then the Americans will go forth, very patriotic, and play with that standard of what that is. And this, as a Oregon single malt, I mean, I'm really, really pleased with what they've done here as an entire package. And we have never seen this locally, and I am thrilled with it. Just thrilled. Bottled by the Clear Creek Distillery. Keep doing what you're doing, gentlemen and ladies, in Portland, Oregon. 42.5%. I'm giving it a 94. Yeah, I like it. I know that's high. And it's part of that American, I know they say Oregon single malt, but that American single malt, that peated greatness that they brought in from Scotland. And then the magic that they've been able to do in 3 years stuns me and blows me away. Hence the 94.
The only thing that would make this better if it was 48%.
If they did a cast strength of this,
version of that,
if you guys have a cast strength of this, send it to us. Send us the cast strength. I got a feeling I would fall out of the chair. It would literally be, I'd be like, boom, I've taken a shot. Oregon's hit
down. Go on without me.
I'm down, man, down. The Clear Creek Distillery has knocked me off the stool. Boom.
Now I was gonna look. I don't think he gave us a price point, and this one. I mean, this was bottled in 2014, so maybe they're not. Maybe it's not a continued release. I don't know. I don't know what the price was of it. I can tell you, if it's under $100, it's worth it.
That's a steal. You know, it's a craft distiller, so it is hard to tell. By the way, I got coin 77. What do you have?
78. I think. I was wondering if we said that.
I don't know if we did. For mints, it says, this is on the back, it says Widemer Brothers Brewing Company. Ferments imported peated malt, Scottish barley, especially for Clear Creek Distillery. That's interesting. Yeah, this just...
I can see how it's one of Scott Slattery's favorite bottles.
Yeah, so do I. This whiskey was not cold stabilized, that's the first time I've seen it explained that way, and filtered prior to bottling. This whiskey was not cold stabilized and filtered prior to bottling. It's kind of an odd sentence. It's only, so, wow.
That's it.
Love it.
Traveling Dummies.
Yes.
We gave Jason a shout out, a Traveling Dummy shout out a while back. He's getting another one.
Boom!
Because he's still traveling.
That's right, he's traveling. He's up in Maine. I don't know how to say it. The alley. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Well, Jason Johnston, aka Telex,
yes,
which we didn't realize when we gave him the last shout out.
True.
So Telex.
The Allagash Brewery in Maine. He's there. He's wearing the 12 Hours of Boom shirt. That was a limited release shirt when we did the 12 Hours of Boom. And you may notice we have the poster up here, 12 Hours of Boom as well,
right,
which you made. And as soon as we talked about
it, I had made.
You had it made, yeah. You didn't personally inscribe it and then make the paper.
And we've got the 16 bourbon shootout one coming for over there.
And we've had some people saying, hey, I want one of those. We don't know what the demand's going to be, so let us know, and we may take some pre-orders, which will help us even come up with the monies to make them, and then we'll sign those posters, send them out in a tube. They won't be framed or anything, but they'll be in a tube, and we'll send them out.
I would say email us at scotchtestdummies@gmail.com.
I love that.
And let us know. That way we can gauge. If there's enough interest, we'll do a special run of them. And if we get, I mean, the more interest, the cheaper we'd be able to get them.
Right,
The more
that-
you order, the cheaper they
That
are.
was some of the problem.
So we really can't say.
You got two, one for you, one for me, and they were pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just expensive, and then of course you had the frame and everything else on it. But we'll try to. We're hoping that if we get enough pre-orders, we can get the price down. But who knows? We'll see what we can do.
No,
like I said, we'll
Amy's
sign
husband
it.
had already said he wanted one for his office
Boom.
of the 12 hours.
Amy's
of boom.
husband wants one.
So-
and we will sign it, which ours are not signed.
No.
But I love what's on there. My wife was looking at this when I brought it home, and she's like, El Chupacabra. I'm like, that's the dog. The dog is mentioned in the movie credits of the 12 Hours of Boom. So there's some neat little things on there. And again, we'll do this once. And then as we do special shows, we may do some more in the future.
Yeah.
I think it looks great on the back of the bar.
Maybe we just order 20 of them or 25 of them and sell them.
Perfect. I think that'd be great. So again, shout out to the fan that sent it.
Scott Slattery.
Thank you. Oh, you're all right. You're all right. No, that was you didn't know that was coming. Who's also a Super Scotch God on Patreon, where you get coins when you support us. Big fan of this. Love it, love it, love it. Way to go. Way to go. Clear Creek Distillery. Scotch It, you Scotch gods.
Sláinte.
Dummies.